Greetings, YouTube. Yeah, I've worked way back into the WGS Arcade, and we're back with more Sakura Angels. So we were able to get a little bit of more information. We're starting to get like hints and ideas as to what's going on, why these shadows are after Kenta, as it were. So let's go ahead and get back to the story here. And so classes resume. After all the initial excitement in the morning, not a lot happens throughout the remaining lessons. They drag on at a glacial pace, somehow even more dull than usual. It's also hard to keep my mind focused on anything with Sayaka and Hikari on each side, there to protect me. I was half expecting a monster to just burst its way through the window and for the whole place to just turn into a battleground, though it might have at least made things more lively. With one final ring of the bell, school comes to a close. Pardon me. A hazy amber glow taking over the classroom as the sun begins to set. The majority of the students begin to filter out the class to start their clubs or part-time jobs. Not me though, I'm off home. Well, while joining a club is certainly encouraged, thankfully this isn't a place where it's enforced. Meaning I'm free to loaf all I want. It might make me come across as a bit of a slacker in the eyes of other students, but they're not exactly wrong. Wasting no time, I set out of the school and began to head home. Something that should have been fairly stress-free, but I mean, I should have expected this, but it's still a bit much. The horizon grows darker with each step I make through the quiet streets, a pale moon slowly making its presence known in the sky. Thud, thud, thud. My heavy steps resound down the narrow road, quickly swallowed into the night. But there's also another set of steps, or rather, two sets of steps that sound to either side of me. Far lighter steps with far more grace than I could ever hope to achieve. Look, I know you're here to protect me, but do you really need to be so close? Yes, those steps belong to none other than my self-professed guardian angels. Sayaka to my left and Hikari to my right. They practically walk in unison with me, their shoulders inches away from mine. Don't be stupid! Walking home alone at night would be the perfect time for the enemy to strike. This is where we have to stay on our guard the most. Yikes. She doesn't have to yell so loud right in my ear like that. I think I might be just a little bit deafer just from spending time with her today alone. Do you think I like having to be this close to you? You should be grateful I'm doing this at all. Pardon me, another humph. In the turn of her head, her vibrant hair swaying gently. Right. Sorry. Don't be like that, Hikari. Don't think I don't catch you sneaky glances at his face while he's looking elsewhere. As she walks, Sayaka leans across me to smirk at Hikari. This is getting really awkward, guys. You saw? I was just checking the enemy hadn't landed a stealth attack on him. Sure, whatever you say. My left ear is rocked by a mischievous giggle as Sayaka breaks into hysterics, all the while Hikari's face begins to turn an interesting shade of red. Anyway, you're the one who keeps pressing your shoulder up against him. What are you trying to do? Huh? She was doing that? Now that she mentions it, the left side does feel cozier for a time. I was just trying to keep him warm. See, I care for his well-being. I wouldn't want him to catch a cold. And he's not complaining, so he must like it. Without warning, she latches onto my arm, pulling herself in and almost sending me toppling to the ground. See? Hey, now this is... What are you doing? You're gonna tear his arm off. You have to do it more gently, like this. Eh? Hikari lashes onto my other arm, hooking it within hers in an attempt to tug me away from Sayaka. What the heck did this turn into? A three-way, Kenta. A three-way. Girls, you really don't need to. Nope. This isn't how you do it at all, Hikari. It's more like Sayaka pulls back on my arm, and soon they both have a firm grip on each of my arms, determination across their faces as I become some sort of human rope. What is this, a tug of war? They're gonna rip me apart. Please! This is how it's done. Do they even remember what they're trying to do? What started innocently enough has now spurred into some sort of contest between them. They really are competitive. Ow! Now's not the time to think about stuff like that. Can you please get off of me? Raising my voice more than I've ever done in a while, I explode, my body at stake here. And like that, they both let go of my arms at once, leaving me free to ensure they're both still fully intact. I'm glad they listened to reason. I really thought I was going to die there. Apparently it's not the monsters I have to worry about anymore, it's these two. Girls? At least I had thought it had been my desperate cry that had gotten through to them, but they seemed completely transfixed by something up above. What are they looking at? I squint my eyes and gaze high above the rooftops. And then as the clouds part and the pale moonlight shines down, I see her. Okay. Why does she look like that same evil chick from Sakura Fantasy? A girl sits on the ledge of the highest point of one of the tallest buildings in the area. Silvery hair that seems to glimmer in the moonlight, and an outfit as dark as the night sky, she gives off an awe-inspiring look, almost angelic. Like she's some sort of angel, gazing down from the heavens. At least, I would call her an angel if it wasn't for that unsettling grin that just now spread across her face at the sight of us. Ah, there you are. She murmurs something to herself that I can't make out at all from the distance between us. Whatever it was she said, it was enough to make her shoulders shake with laughter. I can't help but feel like I've seen her somewhere before. I wonder why that is. No matter how hard I try to think back, I can't recall her face at all, though. In a burst of feathers, obsidian wings unfurl from behind her. Now, those definitely aren't holy. I've got a bad feeling about this. Amber eyes peer down at the three of us, narrowed in determination, as the same unsettling grin remains. It might just be my imagination, but I think she's looking at me specifically. I can almost feel her stare. It's enough to send a chill down my spine, and sparks a faint pulse at the back of my skull. A friend of yours? I force out a laugh, though I know the truth. The air is growing tense, like that time with the monster before, and the looks of both Hikari's and Sayaka's faces can only suggest something bad is about to go down. Afraid not. Kenta, get back. I don't like this at all. But, okay. I do as I'm told and retreat back a good distance, not really wanting to argue with when they look as scary as they do. So, what do you think we're dealing with here? She seems far too human to be a shadow. But I get the same feeling of dread from her presence. Gotcha. I think. Wait, so is she a monster or not? That's what I'm trying to figure out. If you would stop yelling in my ear for 1 second and let me concentrate. I'm not yelling! Sheesh. Right. I forgot. That's your default volume. Well then, just be quiet and let me think things over. You're so cruel sometimes, Hikari. The silver-haired girl still high atop the roof, gives me one last look before turning her gaze to the girls. And then she jumps. What? Why did she jump? I can barely watch. She plummets downwards towards where my guardians are stood, no hint of even beginning to slow down. Are those wings just for show? Faster and faster she descends before finally the pavement closes in. I don't want to watch, but somehow I get the feeling she wouldn't have jumped without a good reason. At least I hope she didn't. Mere inches from smashing into the ground, her wings spread wide as if brakes, before bringing her to a sudden stop. Not even a gradual halt. She just comes to a complete grinding halt, as if the laws of gravity don't apply to her. Even with wings, something like that shouldn't be possible. I mean, if a pigeon were to attempt something like that, they'd barely be recognizable on the pavement right now. In fact, her feet aren't even touching the ground. She hovers above her ever so slightly before stepping onto the solid surface, as if stepping off of an invisible platform. Part of me is relieved that she isn't hurt from that little stunt, but then part of me is also terrified as to what might happen next. The silver-haired girl stands before Hikari and Sayaka, her expression still as unsettling as ever. Despite the smile, though, there's nothing in her posture that would suggest she has any bad intentions, yet the other two girls are tense. My head rings just trying to focus on her, like that monster from before. Is she related to them? I clutch a hand to my head and try to steady myself. It's taking all of my willpower just to keep upright at this moment. Good evening, girls. She greets them so casually despite the intense glares directed her way. Somehow, I get the feeling she didn't leap off of a freaking roof just to exchange pleasantries. Let's get to the chase, shall we? Who are you, and what do you want? You're such a hostile bunch, aren't you? She lets out a devious giggle, doing little to ease the tension in the air. Very well. You may call me Yuzuki. As for what I'm after, well... Her eyes flit from the girls and settle straight onto me. Her smile enough to send a chill down my spine. I'll be taking the boy, if you don't mind. See, he's very important to me. I knew it. Of course she would be linked to this whole mess. Why wouldn't she be? Today is the day where everything apparently wants me dead. Sayaka and Hikari refuse to comply. I mean, of course they wouldn't. They wouldn't be very good guardian angels if they just stepped aside for this maniacal girl. No. I suppose we have to do things the hard way, huh? The pair stand tall before me, their fists tightened. I think there's only one way this is going to end up. The air around them seems to crackle, the amount of power contained within them all immense. I hope the microphone didn't pick up that fart. I'm afraid to even take in a breath, in case I set something off. This is very dangerous. Even I can see that. I blink and... Yuzuki lunges for them in a flash, the scythe seemingly torn out from the air itself. Sparks fly from the collision of metal against metal. Hikari was just barely able to react in time, changing her outfit in a flash and blocking the blow with her sword. If she had been any slower there, they might not have had their heads still. I knew it. You're just a puppet for her. She speaks through the gritted teeth, pushing with all her might to try and keep the scythe at bay as it draws ever closer. It seems like a fight she might lose, though, as the silver-haired girl presses on without even so much as a bead of sweat on her brow. Sayaka, feel free to help anytime. Oh, right.
Losing ground quite rapidly, her feet beginning to slide back from the force, Hikari barks at her partner, who had just about recovered from the shock of the strike. They really are in trouble here, and all I can do is stand gawking. I know for sure if I go anywhere near them, I'll be torn apart. This is a fight on a completely different level than me. And with that being said, guys and gals, we're going to go ahead and call it an episode, and when we come back to the arcade, we're going to find out what happens at the conclusion of this confrontation between Yuzuki, Sayaka, and Hikari. So with that being said, I am your friendly neighborhood Wrestlegamer, and I will see you at the next Warp Zone. Bye, guys!